Hi, welcome to the World Gut Project. My name is Carrie. This is all about being vegan on the low FODMAP diet for irritable bowel syndrome, and today I have a slightly different video for you that's very classically YouTube, but obviously about FODMAPs and stuff still, and it's kind of a Q&A video. So on Instagram recently they introduced that feature where you could ask questions in the stories, and I thought, why not use that to make a YouTube video where I answer questions, and I put it on Facebook too, so I shall be answering the questions that people asked. Question 1. Have you tested all the FODMAPs already, and what can and what can't you eat? I have tested them all now, except I haven't tested combinations, and I do know there's a combination that I've had when I've been eating out that definitely doesn't agree with me, of things that individually I can. So I can eat basically everything apart from fructose to some degree, so high fructose I'm very sensitive to. And oligos in grains actually I can tolerate really well, vegetables not as much, and fruit pretty well, and the polyols I'm absolutely fine with. But there's a place down the road that does avocado on toast, and I'll have it with like spinach and mushrooms, and it really doesn't agree with me, and I need to ask them exactly what they're putting in and work out if it's the combinations. But yeah, I need to fine tune exactly how much of everything I can eat and how frequently. How long have you been vegan for, and were you vegetarian before that? So I've been vegan now for not that long really, I think I've been officially vegan for 1 year and 5 months, and I was dabbling for 2 months before that, but didn't really feel comfortable saying it outright, saying it as if it was a commitment. And then I was vegetarian for about 9 or 10 years before that. Yeah. Basically, the more I knew, the more I adjusted my lifestyle accordingly. Number 1 piece of advice for someone who needs to start the low FODMAP diet. I think it would be to give yourself some time to actually learn it, otherwise you kind of waste a lot of time making mistakes. So just spend some time really reading up on it, going through the Monash app, testing out recipes before you actually kind of jump in and start restricting your diet. Obviously get a dietitian or doctor before you start a food diary, that kind of thing. I have made a playlist with advice, videos that are good for if you're starting that, so I will put a thingy for that somewhere now. Do you have to follow the low FODMAP diet forever? No, absolutely not. It's a short-term elimination, so for me I did the elimination phase, I did the challenges, and as you can see actually my diet can be quite liberal. It's just understanding exactly where those limits are. So the whole goal of the low FODMAP diet is to first work out if you are sensitive to FODMAPs, because not everyone is, not necessarily the cause of your IBS, but then it's to work out your personal modified version of it. So it could just be that you have to have a low FODMAP meal for breakfast, and that stops you getting too much FODMAP during the day. It could mean, for me, I can't have high fructose for now, and I'm going to re-challenge it, and hopefully my body or my bacteria will be able to cope with it differently in the future. So the goal is to eat as high FODMAP as possible, so not forever. Do you ever have a cheat snack, i.e. something you know is not vegan or low FODMAP? So for me, I don't ever eat anything that I think or know isn't vegan. I would say, if I'm honest though, I tend to not question wine if I'm out in a social situation. So if I'm buying wine and my friend is buying it for a dinner party, I'll be like, oh, could you get one that's labelled as vegan? But if I'm at a bar, I don't ask, because it's just too awkward, and yeah, I'm just too awkward basically for that. But otherwise, anything else I wouldn't eat. And low FODMAP, definitely. I think during the elimination I didn't want to kind of ruin the work I'd done, so I was quite strict. But then once I started doing the re-challenges, I just ended up doing it over a much longer period of time. And actually when I did eat stuff that was high FODMAP, maybe you're travelling or something, it just becomes part of the learning. So if you pay attention to what you eat when you decide to not eat low FODMAP, and your reaction to it, it could just help inform you a bit better. Obviously it's not as structured, but it's too hard, and it's not really realistic, I think, to be completely strict all the time for months and months and months. If you have any ways to not awkwardly ask if the wine is vegan, please let me know. Or actually, if you know any good apps for saying whether or not things are vegan, because it's really hard to check with wine. Now they've started labelling it in some supermarkets, but in other places, generally they don't, and it's it takes a lot of Googling. Best ideas for flavorful broth in soups. So I did experiment at the beginning using toasted pumpkin seeds because they taste kind of chickeny to me. You could use the kind of dark green cut-offs of leeks, carrot peels, parsnip a little bit, and boil them to make a kind of broth that way. But to be honest now, I just always use the mussel stock, which I'll link below. They cost no more than normal stock and they save so much time and energy. And I think that without celery, stocks just never quite hit the same umami kind of flavour. And I have no idea how they managed to make the mussel stock ones taste like they do without FODMAP, or too much. So yeah, I'm too lazy to make one myself. Have you heard about hypnotherapy for IBS? I have heard about it. Apparently it works very well. Like, I guess placebo things often do. I know it wouldn't work for me because when I was kind of 15 to 18 I had really, really bad sleep. Like proper insomnia, tried lots of medications, didn't work, tried hypnotherapy and it just didn't work. I was too tired to pay attention. It didn't work. So I think I'm just someone that can't be hypnotised, but if you are, and you can find it for like not outrageous prices, I'd probably give it a go because, you know, there's no side effects, you might as well. And there does seem to be a good response to it, especially if you think your response is quite related to your emotions, maybe it'd be useful. I'd be interested to know actually if any of you have tried it and how you found it. Do you ever get any cravings for foods you cannot eat? What is your SOS plan for those situations? So, yes. I think, to be honest, okay, so for fructose I get really bad stomach cramps within 2 hours. Everything else will make me feel a bit bloated, a bit gassy, maybe diarrhoea if I have way too much. So I'm kind of, depending obviously on the situation I'm in, I'm willing to be a bit bloated and uncomfortable and have an upset stomach. If you're at home, you're not going out, it's kind of like managed for years, I can manage now and maybe it's worth it. But I'm not really willing to have really painful cramps because it's too quick. I think it's probably that, do you know, if you get like a really quick response, it's easy to not do something that's bad for you. But there have been times when I've tried really high fructose things, like I just really like artichoke antipasti. Of all the things, that's the one that I just really, really love. So I'll have a really small amount is normally what I do, and hopefully it'll be okay. Sometimes it hasn't been okay. I think if you're going to indulge in high FODMAP cravings, just pick a time when you know that it's not the end of the world if you have an upset stomach. And then eat things you find very comforting and low FODMAP afterwards to make up for it. I would say though, if something doesn't taste absolutely incredible and you know it's going to make you sick, like, not worth it. Absolutely not worth it. I tried to pinch some of my boyfriend's artichoke off his dinner the other day and it just wasn't very nice. Like, it was kind of insipid and I was like, there's no point in me eating this. I don't like it and it's going to make me sick, so just don't bother if it doesn't taste amazing. Do you have an analogy for the FODMAP diet? It frustrates me that I need to avoid a lot of foods that have been shown to be good for gut health. I'm trying to view the FODMAP diet a bit like resting from exercise when you are injured and all you want to do is train to be stronger and fitter. I'm hoping you have other analogies as I'm struggling to get my head around it. That's hard. So I think I tend to think of it more like a process of elimination. So I don't know if you ever played that game Mastermind. So you'd have the board and you'd have different colour pegs and the opponent would have the kind of set combination of different colour pegs and you had to guess them by trying different combinations and they would tell you how many you got wrong or you got right. So it was always much easier to start off simple. You'd do just all reds and they'd say you had one right, so you knew there was one red. And then you would try one red and all blue and they would say you've only got one right, you know it's just a red. And you keep going, trying different combinations, getting more complex until you find the exact combination that was correct. I kind of think of it like that with the FODMAP diet, as you start off really simple, you let your symptoms settle down, you remove all the FODMAPs from the situation, and then you try each one individually to see if that's the cause, that you can't digest very well for now. And then obviously move on to the more reintroduction phase where you start getting more complicated and you find the exact combination that is the maximal amount you can eat and still be healthy, and that's your kind of modified low FODMAP diet. Or making it a simple situation where you can just be logical and work things out. I think the actual process in itself isn't necessarily like healing or anything, it's just the only way to really pull apart the results. Does that help it make sense? If you have any analogies, I think that's actually a really useful thing to have because it does help you make sense of what you're doing. Yeah. Please comment down below if you have analogies. So those are the questions. I quite enjoyed that. It was very fun. I thought they were really good questions actually. Very, like, things I wouldn't have thought to answer. So I hope this was useful, and I would like to throw some of these questions back at you. So if any of them you felt like you had an interesting answer for, please comment down below, and I look forward to reading your responses. Otherwise, I'll see you next Sunday, so have a good week. Bye!